Well, now we come to Blue Mountain Mystery, the last special to be animated by Nitrogen Studios. We finally get a special that revolves around the narrow gauge engines, as well as CGI remakes of classic Audrey scenes. So how is it? Well, let's look at the story. Thomas is sent to work at Blue Mountain Quarry with the narrow gauge engines. While there, he keeps seeing a mysterious engine who is afraid to come out. Thomas finds out the engine's name is Luke, and he is hiding because he apparently did something bad. But another engine on Sodor may have a different view on the story. This leads to Thomas scrutinizing the island for answers. I'll say the best thing about the special is it mainly revolves around the narrow gauge engines. We see other engines, but they're kind of in the background. And, of course, Thomas has to be the main character. I quite like Luke. He's nothing outstanding, but his design is really cool, and he's just such a likable character. You can't really hate him. He's actually he's actually adorable, like Percy, Bill, and Ben. I also like his personality. He's shy, but for a good reason. He's hiding from guilt, which is another aspect I like about him. He teaches audiences that it's not good to live in guilt and fear. Winston is also hilarious. You can just tell he hates being driven by the Fat Controller, but he's always polite. Plus, again, his design is hella cool. You never expect to see something. It makes sense that the Fat Controller would have some thing to get around the island, the rails. Owen and Merrick are interesting, but they don't really have a personality. However, that doesn't really matter, because they're really just background characters, which I don't mind at all. I also like Paxton's inclusion. Had it not been for this, he probably would have turned into something like Bertram or Thumper. His personality is a bit distracting at times here, but later in the series it got better. The other narrow gauge engines look fantastic. It looks like they're a mix between post-season 4 and the Railway series. Also, they have their original personalities. Skarloey is wise, for the most part. Rheneas is too, but also has that gallant yet timid personality as well. Peter Sam, I think, has done really well in the CGI series. He definitely has that well-meaning but anxious personality that he had in episodes like Grandpuff and Peter Sam and the Refreshment Lady. As far as the Blue Mountain Quarry itself, I wasn't too impressed. I don't know, it just looks too unnatural. Looks like something a first-time trains user would build. Well, the quarries in Season 4 and 5 were beautiful, but here, though not necessarily sickening, it just doesn't feel real. As for the story, well, I'll say this. The first 2/3 are brilliant. The mystery is really simple, but again, you get so engrossed in it. And finding out it was Victor was quite unexpected, or would have been had I not seen the Yellow Victor merchandise. I love how they chose a character who wasn't too big in the series and really fleshed out his backstory. Also, speaking of Victor, I was impressed that the engines were speaking languages other than English. And, of course, as everyone remembers, the special had CGI flashbacks of classic Thomas. I hadn't read the plot before I watched it, and when these came out of nowhere, I freaking screamed. I don't care if Henry's in his new shape. This is one huge step up, though it would be a bigger issue when Venture begins. I literally watched these scenes almost 10 times when I first saw it. I was just in so much disbelief. And, like many fans, that is my favorite part of the special. So the story was going really well, and I was enjoying it. Then the third act came along, and it went straight downhill. It's not necessarily awful, but I thought it was really clunky, and had just been thrown in there. Like Thomas going up the winch? Come on! And Diesel's role was pretty stupid. I mean, he was just there to be a dick. I can understand why the engines got angry because, well, Thomas did break a promise, but it just got too intense in my opinion. Everyone turned into complete assholes. When I saw Thomas dangling off of Owen, I just slapped my face. And that's saying for someone who, again, doesn't really care about railway realism. Also, if you watch the Nostalgia Critic, you'll know that he absolutely despises the liar revealed cliché. I don't hate it. It can be used well in some places. But here, Jesus, the narrow gauge engines take it to the extreme. To make it worse, Skarloey, who's supposed to be the old wise guy, is the biggest dick of them all. I'm sorry, but I really hated the ending. So, in conclusion, Blue Mountain Mystery was enjoyable for the most part. The last third was a huge disappointment, but apart from that, I don't really see anything that bad with it. It's definitely an improvement from Day of the Diesels, so I'll give it a B+.